Hey guys, it's Coach Rich, remember Teacher Jill's husband. Well, I'm here to read you another story, and this time I brought a very, very special friend along. This is Gorilla. Can you say hi, Gorilla? Hi, Gorilla. Oh, you're very funny. So, the book that I want to read today is Gorillas in the Mist. No, that's not it. Sorry. I want to read King Kong. What? That's not it either. Um, oh, I want to read Gorilla My Dreams. I'm kidding, Gorilla. It's Good Night, Gorilla. I used to read this to my sons, and I also used to read it to my niece and nephew when they were 4, and now they're 418 years old. So that was a long time ago. So here we go with the story. So we're at the zoo, and we have Zookeeper Joe here, and he says, "Good night, Gorilla," because it's the end of the day, and Zookeeper Joe wants to go home. Wasn't that nice of him, Gorilla? Yes, it was. Yeah. So what else do we have in this picture? We have a gorilla doll. See, Gorilla likes playing with Gorilla. We have a tire and a bicycle. And look, we got a little mouse holding onto a balloon. But what's Gorilla doing? Gorilla is reaching for Zookeeper Joe's keys. What are you gonna do with those keys, Gorilla? You'll find out. We'll find out. Let's keep going and see what happens. Zookeeper Joe starts to walk away, and Gorilla lets himself out of his cage. Oh, and look, here's Mouse down here. Mouse got the banana. He's like, oh, this is a big banana. It's so heavy. And then Gorilla sneaks behind Zookeeper Joe so he can't be seen. And then Zookeeper Joe gets to the elephant cage and he says, "Good night, elephant." And Gorilla looks at him and he says, "Hey, that's my friend, Harry Elefante. Hey, Harry, do you want to come out of your cage too?" Of course, he's not saying this, but that's what he's thinking. So Gorilla lets the elephant out of his cage. And then they go past the lion's cage, and Zookeeper Joe goes, "Oh, good night, lion." But Gorilla says, "Hey, I'm letting you out of your cage too." Gorilla, what are you up to? You'll find out. Zookeeper Joe then goes past Hyena and Giraffe and says, "Good night, Hyena." And Hyena's laughing hyena, so he says, and good night, Giraffe. And Giraffe says, because giraffes really don't make much noise, they just chew a lot of leaves. And finally, with everybody out of their cage and the mouse pulling the banana, Zookeeper Joe's goes to the armadillo, whose name is Willie, by the way, and says, "Good night, Armadillo Willie." Finally, Zookeeper Joe has said goodnight to all the animals, and he walks out of the zoo and across the park and into his house with all the animals following him, and he still doesn't know it. And they go into the house, and they go into the bedroom, Gorilla's yawning because he's tired. And Zookeeper Joe's taking off his shoes. And Mouse is climbing up and he's pulling that banana. And everybody has a nice spot that they are going to sleep in. And Mama Zookeeper, she says, "Good night, dear." And Gorilla's in bed. And the mouse is lying in the drawer with the banana as a pillow. And there's Giraffe and Harry Elefante and Lion and Armadillo Willie and the hyena. And she turns out the lights. And all the animals say, "Good night, good night, good night, good night, buenas noches, good night, good night." Mama Zookeeper opens her eyes. And she turns on the light. And she sees all the animals in the bed. And the mouse is looking up and she's like, "Oh, we got caught. And we got a hyena down here." And then Gorilla looks at her and goes, "Hello." Mama Zookeeper says, "All of you animals have to go back to the zoo." And she leads them back. And she puts them all back in their cages, but Gorilla still had the keys, so he let himself out again. And he's like, "Shh. Gorilla, you really want to sleep in that house, don't you?" So finally, Mama Zookeeper gets back to her house. I'm going to turn off the light again. She goes, "Good night, dear." And Zookeeper Joe, who's almost half asleep already, says, "Good night." And then the mouse and the gorilla are climbing into the bed. And they finally get into bed. And they're laying between Mama Zookeeper and Zookeeper Joe. And the mouse is finally eating that banana. And Goodnight Gorilla says, or the little mouse says, "Good night, Gorilla." And what does Gorilla say? Because Gorilla's already asleep. Wow. Isn't that an amazing story? Well, thank you, Gorilla, for having a book written about you by Peggy Rathman. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I enjoyed reading it, and just as much as Gorilla liked escaping from the zoo in his cage. So, we will see you again very, very shortly. In the meantime, bye-bye.